Hi, I'm Mark Werble, and welcome to our show, Business Spotlight, where we highlight businesses in green. And we'd like to choose businesses who help make our community better. One such company is the American Red Cross, located in Akron. The Red Cross is famous for disaster relief as well as local blood drives and donations. With us here today is Eric Alps from the Red Cross. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks
How
so
are
much.
you?
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, good. Could you tell me about some of the things that the Red Cross does for the community?
Absolutely. We have a wide range of services to provide the community, anywhere from obviously blood donations and blood drives. We also give training, CPR training, learning how to swim training, babysitting training. We also give back to community disaster reliefs. The main thing that we usually do in Northeast Ohio is helping with home fires. We usually respond to there's usually about three home fires in a 24-hour span Northeast Ohio. So that's a big part of us. And so what we do with that is we go out, we help the family, we assess the damage. If there's a need for a shelter, we'll help put up a shelter and run it. Also giving just mental support for the families that are going through that home fire and helping give back to them and helping them with any needs that they may have along the way.
Wow. And how do you end up finding out when there is such a need for a fire?
We have really close relationships with the first responders in the area. So anytime the fire department, police department hears of anything that may be happening, we usually have a really close relationship. They'll respond to us saying they heard something, as well as we have a lot of teams on the ground that if we hear of anything going on, we're pretty quick to respond and gather and go into that home fire along the way.
Wow. I think about fires and disasters, and obviously there's been a lot of natural disasters in the U.S. and outside the U.S. I know Red Cross is international. Can you talk a little bit about the services that you provide and how you go about that?
Sure. There's actually 5 lines of that we do at the American Red Cross. First one is disaster relief. As I said, if there's a hurricane or anything like that, we will respond to disaster relief. So we provide shelter, provide food, provide mental support to the families. We also have, as I said, health, preparedness, and safety services. Those are your CPR. That's your, any type of training to help you prepare for it. We have biomedical, which is the blood drives and blood donations. International, that's if there's an earthquake, for instance, like what's happening in Haiti, the American Red Cross would respond to those if there's a need for us to respond, as well as service of the armed forces. And what that is if there's a family member here at home that needs to urgently contact a service member, we'll reach out, contact that service member and help them with any assistance. If there's an injured veteran, an injured service member who needs assistance as they're going through their treatment, we'll provide support, as well as veterans here at home that may need help with housing or any other type of services. We help provide the services for them.
Wow, it's especially with Veterans Day coming around. I think we think about the Red Cross like during World War II and helping
Absolutely.
check on prisoners and stuff. I didn't realize there was still a presence right now.
That is a large presence. We're very active with our armed services. As I said, we have an armed services branch within us, as well as anytime a service member is getting ready to go to their training, ready to deploy, there's an American Red Cross individual there, as well as on bases across the country and internationally. To help just be in contact with the service members and seeing what they need and helping provide any support that we can.
Yeah, with natural disasters and military types of things, are these volunteers or are they employees of the Red Cross? How does that work?
90%, believe it or not, of the American Red Cross's workforce is actually volunteers. So a large part of what we can do is thanks to the volunteers. Much of what we can do wouldn't be possible without them taking their time out, donating their time to help give back. And so we definitely appreciate all of our volunteers and everything they do for us.
How do you go about finding these people?
Sure. You can actually call 1-800-RED-CROSS, or a lot of times you can log on to redcross.org/volunteer and for any services. And when you actually set yourself up to be a volunteer, we provide the training for them. So we provide extensive training, especially if they're going to a disaster relief area. We'll provide them the training and what to expect and help prepare them for it. So you're not just going in blind. We take the time to respond, to actually train these individuals to help them give back properly.
Wow. I know it's all about saving lives, and going back, I guess, to more on the local level, blood drives play a huge part in that. And can you explain then what goes into a blood drive?
Sure. So, an individual, you don't have to necessarily give back with blood drive. We actually have, in the Northeast Ohio area, we have 3 blood donation centers. You can call 1-800-RED CROSS and give blood anytime to schedule it. But with a blood donation, anytime by a business or an individual wants to set up a blood donation, they can contact the Red Cross and we'll help assist them in setting up that blood drive. The Red Cross actually gives 40% of the nation's blood source comes from the American Red Cross. So blood donations are very important to us, and we're constantly eager and assessing the need for blood donation, especially with Hurricane Michael coming and Hurricane Florence. Those areas, when these disasters happen, obviously they can't continue their blood donation. So there just increases the need for blood donation. And areas like Northeast Ohio, we end up ramping up our blood donation to help assist the need that's going on down there.
Like you mentioned Hurricane Michael, it's kind of interesting. Are you guys always just looking at the next thing and trying to prepare and be ready for it?
We're constantly preparing ourselves for what's to come. We know that there's always a change, and here in Northeast Ohio and internationally, and Red Cross nationally as well as locally, we're constantly looking to be prepared and at a moment's notice, respond to whatever need that's there.
Now, we're excited that we're having a blood drive here on October 26th, and since you mentioned, another disaster may be coming, it makes it that much more important to have students and community members to say, here's the time that I can go ahead and give, which I guess brings the question, what do you say to someone who's on the fence a little bit?
Sure. I think a lot of people, they're worried about, what it's going to cost, but it takes very little amount of your time, but it can make a world of difference in an individual in need. For instance, think of, a child that may just be born that needs blood transfusions, or someone that's going through cancer treatment, as well as in these disaster relief efforts. And a lot of our blood donors, every time that they come back, they say, they were on the fence, but they were glad that they did it. It just gives them, that feeling of doing good, of giving back, and knowing that someone down the line is actually, that they're impacting someone's life. And I think it helps motivate them. A lot of our blood donors, because of that good feeling, tend to come back and continue to give blood.
Yeah, I guess blood donation is probably the easiest thing because anyone can do it.
Absolutely.
And you brought up so many other things that the Red Cross does. And hopefully someone watching is saying, I've got this skill, or, I might be able to volunteer in some capacity. Could you, again, repeat how someone can get involved?
Sure, absolutely. There's 2 ways that they can go about. They can call 1-800-RED-CROSS, or they can go to redcross.org/volunteer. And what that does is, we help assess you and help find, where your skill set is and where you may be able to help. We're constantly looking for volunteers here, as well as an individual who might have the time to, in the case of, for instance, Hurricane Michael, that may be able to respond and take the time to go to these situations. As I said, we don't put you in a situation where you're just being thrown in and you're not confused. We take the time, we'll give you the training that you probably need in order for you to actually do what is needed to do at that time.
Thanks. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the viewers before we wrap up?
Like I said, we're always looking for volunteers. So if you have, any interest in giving back to Red Cross, we definitely, eager to ask you to do so, as well as giving blood. Blood is absolutely important. As I said, the Red Cross gives 40% of the nation's blood supply. It takes very little time to donate blood, but it makes a world of difference in the individual who's receiving that blood.
Oh, well, I appreciate you coming in and telling us about the Red Cross and the things that they do. And I encourage anybody watching, to get involved, see what we can do to help the Red Cross. And, they've certainly made a difference in our community. So for Inside Green, thanks for your time. I'm Mark Wirbel.